Hi, you guys. It's Yaz. And I had somebody ask me, is hoarding a trauma response after being in a narcissistic relationship or after enduring narcissistic abuse? And my answer to that is yes, hoarding could be something that could happen to you after you've endured narcissistic abuse. And people say, well, why do people hoard? Why do people isolate? Why do these things happen after narcissistic abuse? Well, let me explain the whole business with hoarding. A lot of the reason why somebody hoards is because of loneliness, all right? So what happens is people that attach to objects because they don't have those type of relationships in their life, okay? So they attach to things. They feel a sense of security. A lot of times when somebody is a hoarder, it's because of their anxiety. After you've incurred narcissistic abuse, one of the things that's going to happen to you when you come out of that relationship initially is you're going to be filled with all that anxiety that the narcissist put on you. The narcissist is the anxious one. The narcissist is the one that suffers from anxiety because of their childhood, usually their childhood traumas. So what happens to the narcissist is they put all that anxiety on you and all that shame on you. It's from years of beating you down and telling you you're wrong. You don't know what you're doing. You're insecure. You have mental issues. You are crazy. You need therapy. And what happens to you when you come out of that relationship? You start doubting yourself. You start doubting yourself and you're filled with anxiety. You're afraid to make decisions. You're indecisive, okay? That's one of the results of having endured narcissistic abuse. You're indecisive. You have a hard time making decisions, okay? How do I know this? Because I've endured this, all right? And that's why I'm telling you. You'll be asking people around, what do you think of this? What do you think of that? You don't trust yourself. You don't trust yourself because you've been beaten down as a person because people always told you everything you do is wrong, all right? And you got to fight that. And you got to build yourself up. But one of those trauma responses is maybe you start to attach to objects. People start to collect things. Their mind is in confusion, okay? A house that's cluttered or a house, where you're dealing with a hoarder is a house of confusion. That's why in order to heal your mind, you have to have an organized home, okay? It makes a big difference whether you're organized or not because it's going to affect your mind. The more things around, the more it confuses you. It's like the more options you have. When you go to a restaurant and they have 25 different menu options, what is that going to do? That's going to confuse you. As opposed to going to a restaurant and there's only 3 different options. It's much simpler with the restaurant with just 3 different options to choose from, okay? So somebody who's endured narcissistic abuse is somebody who, is feeling they're coming out of that relationship. They're coming out beaten down. They have anxiety. They get into depression. They feel loneliness. And what is that going to do? They're going to attach to things. Only they're going to be afraid to attach to people, or they don't have people that they can attach to because the people that they're surrounded by are cold and narcissistic and don't show them love. So what are they going to attach to? They're going to attach to objects. They may get into becoming a shopping addict where they start to shop. They may be somebody who collects junk, all right? But they're going to, they attach to all these different objects and things and material things that they bring into the home to ease that anxiety and to ease that loneliness because they endured trauma from the narcissist, all right? The narcissist made them feel alone, made them feel isolated, depressed them. And what's the end result in all that? They need to ease their anxiety. So how are they going to ease that anxiety? by trying to give themselves a lift, by feeling secure, by, maybe they're a collector. They collect certain things. Maybe they have, 20 cars in the driveway. Maybe they collect dolls. Maybe they collect clothing. Maybe they collect Tupperware. Maybe they're the type of hoarder, they become the type of hoarder where they have 12 cats or 12 dogs. And why do they do that? Because they're overwhelming loneliness in their life, because they never had that love. They never had that support. They never had that security, and they attach to these things. They attach to these things, okay? So, and that's why, too, you guys, keep in mind, there's a lot of narcissists that can be hoarders as well. Because of the childhood trauma that they had, they attach to material things. So a lot of the trauma that the narcissist put on you, you're going to start getting those narcissistic fleas where you start picking up habits that the narcissist had. And one of those habits, or one of those trauma responses after being in a narcissistic relationship, could be the fact that you're hoarding, or your house is cluttered, or your mind is confused, okay? After dealing with a narcissist, you're going to come out confused. You're going to come out confused because you thought the narcissist was one way, and then your mind is confusing you with that cognitive dissonance, and you're seeing the narcissist another way, and you're saying, you can't trust yourself. So now what is that going to cause? That's going to cause uneasiness within yourself. That's going to cause anxiety. What did I tell you guys? Like, one of the most dangerous things in life is anxiety. Anxiety is not of God. Understand that, all right? Anxiety is the devil getting into your mind. I've seen it, okay? So you have to, you got to stay focused. You've got to declutter yourself, declutter your house, declutter your mind, get organized, because the more organized you are, the clearer you will be able to think. It's like when you go to work at a desk, right? And there's a ton of papers all over the desk. That's going to cause you to be stressed out. That's going to make you have a hard time being able to focus because there's too much around, all right? There's too much all over the place. But when you go and you sit down at a desk that has nothing on it, and it's clear, you're able to sit down and just focus in on your work or whatever you're doing, or if you're writing or doing any kind of work, you could focus in on that. You don't have these kind of distractions, all right? But because of that relationship and enduring narcissistic abuse, and you see this with survivors after having a narcissistic family, okay? A narcissistic family is so damaging. It's more damaging than having been in a narcissistic relationship. Why is that? Because a narcissistic family is supposed to be your security, your safety net. These are the people that you're supposed to run to when you're down. They're supposed to be, your safe haven. And, you could have a bad narcissistic relationship, but if you have a good family that you could run to for support or emotional support, then you could be okay, all right? You have support. But when you have a narcissistic family that is damaging, maybe you're scapegoated, okay? And you're alienated and you're alone and you've been told that you're wrong and you've been beaten down and told that, everything you do is wrong, that you're crazy, and everybody mobbed up against you in that narcissistic family. What is that going to do? That's going to isolate you, right? And what happens when people are isolated and beaten down? They get into depression, right? Once you get into depression, you're also anxious, and that anxiety kicks in. Once that anxiety kicks in, you're going to find ways to ease that anxiety. So what a lot of narcissistic abuse survivors do, a lot of them turn to drugs, alcohol, some go to therapy, and some end up doing hoarding, okay? They attach to objects because they feel that objects give them, that eases their sense of security. They're surrounded by something that they know is safe, something that won't hurt them. objects are safe to somebody that has been abused, because they feel the object can't hurt them, makes them feel like they're not alone, they're not isolated, they're not vulnerable. They have things around them that make them feel at ease, okay? So, you guys, it is a terrible thing. It is a terrible thing after you've endured narcissistic abuse and, you feel that, and a lot of times when that happens, you don't even realize it's happening. You don't even know why it's happening, okay? And I've been in that kind of position where, like, I would see something, driving in the car, and I'd be like, oh, look at that. They're throwing that out. Oh, that looks like a nice, chair or dresser or something like that. And for some reason, I was like, you know what? Let's grab it, this and that. And then I got to a point where I'm like, no, I can't do this. I can't do this. But I was attaching to objects because of the loneliness that I endured after being beaten down and told that everything I do is wrong, all right? And all of that is due to loneliness, depression, and anxiety. And I'm losing my voice, okay? So that's what it is, you guys. That's what it is. That's why you have to get away from people that are negative, people that put you down, people that don't support you, people that don't have your back, people that alienate you and isolate you like the covert narcissist does. You've got to get away from these people, because internally it's going to affect you, affect your health later on. And not only does it affect your mental health, it will affect your physical health as well. And I've talked about that in another podcast. So go back and listen to it, about how narcissistic abuse will affect your physical health, where people have ended up, because of the stress that they've endured, and the cortisol levels have gone up, it causes 1,000,001 different ailments, all right? You start to get high blood pressure. People have thyroid issues. They have stomach ulcers. They have, some people ended up, in the comments section, they were telling me they ended up getting a stroke. Okay, all of this is stress because of the narcissistic abuse that you've endured, okay? But in this podcast, I wanted to put it out about the hoarding, okay? Because that is a fact. That is a fact. And I have actually lived through that, all right? So that's why I wanted to talk about it. And like I said, a lot of times when people start to do those kind of things, they don't even realize why they're doing it. They don't even realize why they're doing it, why they feel this need to collect things. But they do it because it gives them a sense of, it eases that anxiety within themselves. It gives them a little rush, to know that they have, a collection of dishes or a collection of sneakers or a collection of artwork. And meanwhile, they're cluttering up their house with these things. But it makes them feel good to have these things, because these objects are giving them a sense of safety and security, and it's easing their anxiety, because they were left anxious after the narcissistic abuse that they endured, where they were constantly put down, judged, and told that they were wrong all the time, all right? But you got to break free from that. You got to break free from that, and you got to regain your power again. And the way you do that is with your self-care and with your internal connections, making connections with other people in this world that will build you up, your own support system, all right? So I hope that helps you guys. If it does, hit the subscribe button, share the podcast, and have a great day.